Next plenary session 5th, review of literature. I would like to invite to Professor Milka D. Madale ma'am, professor at Arsi University, Ethiopia. Madam has enormous experience in nursing field. Madam completed her MSc Nursing, one of the renowned world-famous College of Nursing, Belur, in Tamil Nadu, and her PhD from Keili University, Karnataka. Madam was chairperson, organizer, and secretary in various workshops, conferences, seminars, etc. at national and international level. Dr. Milka Madale ma'am has done 14 scientific publications and there are many more in her credit. Now I would like to invite Professor Milka Madale ma'am on StreamYard to proceed on review of related literature. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your kind invitation to share this platform. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, the topic which is, yes, okay. Okay, the topic which is given to me, allotted me, is review of literature, which is very, very important thing, and which we need to understand while doing the research. It's very important component. So at the end of this session, you will understand what is the review of literature, what should be the location, what are the characteristics of effective literature review, what are the purposes of doing the review of literature, what are the different types of review of literature and sources of review of literature, steps, stages, and contents, and what are the points to be considered. Okay, we'll go to the next slide now. We'll see what is the review of literature. Review of literature is the comprehensive summary of the research on the topic. Okay, so it means we are trying to get many reviews or many articles, research articles, and getting the summary of it for the previous research, what is being taken, and the topic it is related to the topic which you are interested. So the literature review, it surveys the scholarly articles, also books and other sources relevant to a particular area of research. And this kind of the review of literature, it enumerates, it lists down, it describes, it summarizes objectively, it also evaluates and clarifies the previous research. We'll go to the next slide now. The literature review is a piece of academic writing. In other words, we can say that it is academic piece of academic writing which demonstrates the knowledge, also which demonstrates the understanding about the academic literature on a specific topic placed in the context. And also the literature review includes, it's a critical evaluation of the material, whatever you are reading, and that is why it is called as literature review or review of literature rather than literature report. We'll go to the next slide. The literature review is writing the process of summarizing, synthesizing, that means everything, making it together, and critiquing the literature found in the literature search. Okay, we'll go to the next slide now. What must be the location of the review of literature? This location usually comes near the beginning of the thesis or dissertation or at the end of introduction, and also it leads to the theoretical framework or conceptual framework, and it leads to next chapter, that is methodology. Go to the next slide. What are the characteristics of effective literature review? First and foremost important characteristic is it is organized properly. The ideas are organized properly. It is in sequential manner. There is a thoughtful flow of that, and which is able to assess the strength and weakness of that particular study, which is showing the gaps in the knowledge, okay, and which will lead to the current or the future research project. So these are the important characteristics which the literature of review needs to have. What are the purposes of review of literature? It helps to identify what is known about the research problem, what problem you have selected, and what is known about it. It builds up the previous knowledge also. And some of the studies, research studies, it is there is recommendations are given, and from the recommendations you can select the topic for your research. And also it helps you to understand not to duplicate any studies, because many studies may be conducted on that research topic whatever you are interested in. But if you go thorough with the review of literature, what will happen, you will understand many studies are done, and you will avoid the duplication, and it will narrow your focus also what needs to be done, and it will identify a body of research which does not have answer, so that you can further go on. Next slide, please. It helps the researcher to get acquainted with the relevant theory, what are the strategies used, what kind of data collection method is used, what are the tools used, instruments used, okay, and yeah, and what interpretation they have given, that also you will come to know. Next slide will go. What are the different types of review of literature? The first one is narrative or traditional review of literature. In this narrative and traditional review of literature, it means it's the comprehensive, critical, and objective analysis of the current knowledge on a topic. For example, if you want to study to assess the level of anxiety in patients who is undergoing CABG, for them you can search the literature about CABG, coronary bypass grafting, and also about the anxiety level. So these are the knowledge on the topic you get, and this is very essential part, because it will help you to establish the theoretical framework or conceptual framework, and which will help you to focus on the research. Next slide, please. Systematic, the second type is systematic review of literature. In the systematic review of literature, it examines the data, findings of the other author relative to a specified research question, and also it includes published and unpublished thesis, and it more focuses on clinical trials. So it's very important. This systematic review of literature is very important, and these are different type of literature which we can observe when you are able to study. Then meta-analysis, okay? Meta-analysis, it's a method of systematically combining a pertinent qualitative and quantitative study, selected studies to develop a single conclusion. Okay, these studies are very effective, and the conclusion is statistically stronger, because many studies are taken into consideration, and the conclusion is given. Whereas in other studies, we do one study and we draw the conclusion, but in meta-analysis, many studies are concluded, and also the conclusion is given. So this is also important study which we can take into consideration. Metasynthesis, this is another type of review of literature which you can find. This is just the for the qualitative study. When we do, one second, please. Can you please, can you please slow down? Huh? So in metasynthesis, what we do in the phenomenological study or grounded theory or any psychiatric research, we derive the theme, and from that theme we try to understand what is the conclusion of that and how the study is being conducted. So this is metasynthesis. So these are the four kinds of types of research studies which you want to take into consideration in the review of literature. Next thing, next one, acceptable sources of review of literature. Which are acceptable review of literature? Okay, first one is peer-reviewed journals. Okay, these peer-reviewed journals, they go through a rigorous blind review process of review, peer review, and here what we do is, this is also good peer-reviewed journals are very good, and they are accepted and published, so that we can take this kind of source from review of literature. Another source is edited academic books. The edited academic book is the collection of scholarly scientific papers which are written by different authors. And this is also the original work is there or not, you have to see. If not published anywhere, that you need to see. And the papers within the text also go through a process of review actually, but there is no blind review or anything, but just it goes to the process of review. So such kind of edited academic books also can be accepted, can be taken into consideration to write the review of literature. Another thing is articles in the professional journals. Here you need to be very careful. Many professional journals, they say that it is peer reviewed and all, but you need to see really in the column of about us whether it is peer reviewed or not. And otherwise, you can Google the name of the journal and add peer reviewed to the search. And that is how you can avoid the miss, because many journals are there, they are trading, and they are just for the sake of money, they publish that, and such kind of research articles should not be included in your study. Another thing, source is statistical data from governmental website. Here the government websites are the excellent source for statistical data. So, for example, Statistics Canada collects, publishes data related to the economy, society, and the environment also. So, likewise, different countries are also collecting the data pertinent to any health problems or any other thing. So, such kind of data is excellent source for your review of literature. So, you can have the statistical data from the governmental website. Other website material from professional association. So this material from other website also serve as the source for statistics, and these professional associations like TNAI or the NRSI or any other things, they are also having their journals. So you can take some articles from there and you can include in your review of literature. So these are acceptable sources for a review of literature. Next thing, we'll many times we come across the terms like primary and secondary sources. So what is the primary source? Primary source, it includes the article that describe the original research. And what is secondary source? So that means you are interpreting and you are analyzing the primary source, means primary research. That is what. Then the online searches are there. This is very the currently it has become one of the important source of the literature search, and we say that it is a search engine and it is a software program that helps people to find the information they are looking for online using keyword and some of the phrases you can use, and you can get the data, whatever literature review, whatever you want. So if you want to search some general literature, the search engines can be like Yahoo, search.com, or Google.com, or MSN search like COS, WebRoller, or Alta Vista, or Excite. Okay. And the most, this is for the general thing. But for the relevant nursing database, a database means the data which is collected in organized matter. So this database, like cumulative index to nursing and allied health literature, that is SINHAL, which is accessible at sinhal.com, and you can try it later on how to go to that website address and how to put the keywords and all like that, and you can get the information or related literature which you are interested in. So there are this is established after the 1988, and even full articles are also available on Sinhal's Plus, and there are paid web pages also. And I will give little more information, little more about Sinhal later on. And there is PubMed also, which we are very familiar, and many abstracts, research abstracts are available at pubmed.com. Medline is also there. It is another electronic source of literature review commonly used for the nurses. And National Library of Medical Medicine, it provides free access to Medline through PubMed. It is available www.pubmed.com, or another website is there that is called as NCBI, and this is also generally it is used by many people nowadays, and these abstracts of research articles are provided free of cost, and some of the full text copies are also freely available, and some others are also available for a free. That's what I told you. So this is available and you can make use of it. Okay, next thing is Cochrane Database System Review. This is also very important because Cochrane base database is in that database, health related literature is available, and I will tell you more detail about it later on. But the address is www.cochrane.org, and there is another database that is called as ERIC, and this is also the database which is the largest source of education information. Then another thing is Registry of Nursing Research, which is next one, which is Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society of Nursing. That makes the database available through Virginia Henderson International Nursing Library, and you can access this database, which is being redesigned and made easier for users to obtain evidences, and the scientific findings are there. More than 2,200 research articles and conference articles are also available. So the research abstracts are searched via keywords or author or title of the research study, and free access to this database may be found at www.nursing.library.org. And there is another database that is PsycInfo. This database also, there are some psychological literature also available, and this is the website address like www.psychinfo.com. There are some online journals which are available, and the magazines that are available on the online. You can make use of it. You can just try later on. Nurse Friendly, nsna.org, or healthweb.org, or pub.org.com, okay, healthweb.com, and MedWorld, and Nursing World, and also Nursing Week. These are the journals available on the online. And other online database, next thing, many other online database can be searched for free by nurses from the following website. If you want some information about HIV/AIDS information, or if you want to have the information about hazardous agent or health information database, toxicology database network, and cancer list, health start, radix, CD-ROM, all these things are available on the online. I told you, just I will tell you about the cumulative index of nursing and allied health literature that is called as SINHAL, which is for nursing. And this database covers the literature of nursing, also physical therapy, occupational therapy, nutrition, and dietetics, and other health related professions also. So these are the information, related informations are available on SINHAL. So you can make use of it. Cochrane Review is next one. Cochrane Review is a systematic review of research in healthcare, and health policies are also published in the Cochrane because systematic reviews are included here. And the Cochrane database, next slide. Cochrane database is very good actually because the Cochrane database is authoritative to date. There is a source of evidence based information that can help to the clinician, and they can take the make the decision, and they can take appropriate and effective healthcare. They can give the treatment which is written over there, and intervention. This is very helpful for the doctors, clinicians, and as well as helpful for the nurses who are following the evidence based nursing. Okay, then there are printed sources. Next slide please. There are printed sources, and these journals are available in national and international level. And next slide. Name of the national nursing journals. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So nursing and midwifery journals, and Indian Journal of Nursing Research and Midwifery, the Nursing Journal of India, Nightingale Nursing Times, International Journal of Nursing Education, and Indian Journal of Nursing Studies. These are the national nursing journals which are available on the website. And uh, the names of international journals I have written over here: Nursing Research, Research in Nursing Health, and Nursing Sciences Quarterly, Journal of Nursing Research, Clinical Nursing Research and Advances in Nursing Research, Evidence Based Nursing, Qualitative Research, Journal of Nursing. So these are the international journals which are available on the online. And next slide, please. Research reports are there. Next slide. Research reports. There are unpublished dissertation and thesis which are available on the online, and also magazines and newspapers, conference papers, encyclopedias, dictionaries, and books are available on the online. So you can make use of it to write your review of literature. Next slide, please. There are some steps which are involved in the review of literature. First thing, you need to choose your topic which you are interested in, and then you identify the database. If you want PubMed or Sinhal, or if you want Cochrane, whatever you want to identify, what database you want to use, you can use the database. That is your resource, and then search what topic you are interested in and refine it. Read it several times and analyze what is given in that research articles, and then you can write the review on your own. So there are some steps. Next slide, please. Stages. Yeah, there are some stages for writing the review of literature. One is annotated bibliography. Here, the annotated bibliography, those who are the PG students, you must be writing the annotated bibliography. And here, at this stage, what the researcher do, they read the article, books, or other types of the related literature on the topic of the research, and they do the critical analysis of each research article they read, and also the analysis of several articles like that, and they make the conclusion that what is written over there, what kind of research is done, what was the aim, and what methodology is being used, and what was the important goal. All these things in annotated bibliography is written, and this is the first stage. All the postgraduate student needs to do this. Yeah, and any researcher, any other researchers also. Second stage is thematic organization, which means you have identified now themes, what is given in the research article. So identify the theme and put it in a chronological order, or you see the coherence of that, and you see the reality, what is being expressed, and you have to organize according to Themes. For example, if you want to do the research anxiety related to CABG, some articles are related on anxiety. It should be written in different way under one theme. Some articles related to CABG, it should be written in another theme, that way. So thematic organization. And then third stage is more reading. More reading means here you have to give emphasis on what kind of method is being used, what are the strategies for data collection, what is the what kind of sample size is used, how samples are selected, everything in detail you read properly. What kind of research design is being used, that also you need to see. And then write individual section. In that, next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. Write individual sections. That means you have to draft it now from the annotation, what you have written, what kind of thing was there, what kind of methodology, and everything in a short way. The synopsis of that article should be written. And then you have to integrate, next slide, you have to integrate integrate the sections whatever you have made, so they tie together with an introduction, conclusion, and some addition, revision in the section to show how they relate to each other, and there should be good flow of writing the review of literature. Another next slide, please. The contents of review. What should be the content of review? There should be introduction, there should be body, there should be conclusion. In the introduction, that should be clearly explained what is that you're going to study, means about that article you have to write. It also explains the types of sources in being used, and the literature review is a part of larger research proposal or project. Its introduction can be combined with the introduction of your paper. So how the research article is written over there, and how it is combining, you have to combine your ideas also there and introduce in a beautiful manner scientifically. And the body, here you have to establish your credibility as an informed researcher, and illustrate the importance of particular problem in a field, identify the gap of knowledge what in the particular subject it has, and define the key terms and ideas, explain research methods which are commonly used, okay, identify potential problem, and direct the reader toward the research question. Next slide. Conclusion. In the conclusion, you can introduce to the further research, what kind of further research can be written over the done, then summary of the theories and discussion of the gap in that research article, what was the gap, and you have identified that gap, so that kind of gap can be written in your review of literature. So I'm giving you, next slide, I'm giving you the example of bad review. Okay. A sexual harassment has many consequences. Found that some women students said that they avoided taking a class or working with certain professors because of the risk of harassment. They also found that men and women students reacted differently. The research has conducted through a survey of 1,000 men and women graduate and undergraduate students, and Benson and Thompson study in Social Problem 1982 lists many problems created by sexual harassment. In their excellent book, the Licorice Professor Dizek and Wiener give a long list of difficulties that victims have suffered. This is the bad review. Next slide. Example of a good review. It is written over here, the victims of sexual harassment suffer a range of consequences from lower self esteem and loss of self confidence to withdrawal from social interaction, changed career goals, and depression. Yeah, and noted that 13 percentage of women students said that they avoided taking a class of working with certain professors because of the risk of harassment. And this is how you should concise it, precise it, but you have to write it as a whole in your own words and not copying from the literature what is being given. And this is the good example of writing the review in your review of literature. Next thing, you have to be the points you need to be considered while writing a review of literature. Be specific. Okay, you have to be specific, you have to be succinct means you have to well express, it should not be confusing, it should be expressed well. Okay, then be selective. The information, whatever you are writing over there, it should narrow down. The in the research article many findings may be given, but which is relating to your research topic can be written over there. Next slide. Focus on current topics. Okay, what is the current topic? Researchers need to analyze points such as if it is current article, if it is old, should not be taken into consideration. That if you are referring it as a old, that goes to the historical background, but current articles, current topics should be taken into consideration for writing the review of literature. Then ensure evidence for claims. Sometimes there are some conflicting points. Somebody says the anxiety level doesn't rise, somebody says the anxiety level rise, and all some conflicting issues. So you have to see that what is the assumptions are made, whether the evidence what is given there is relevant or sufficient, that point to be considered. Next thing, focus on the sources of evidence. Focus the evidence based studies can be considered more. Okay, evidence based studies are written in the review of literature. Then account of contrary evidences means, does the author take the account of contrary or conflicting evidence and arguments? If he has taken into consideration that can be avoided also. Then reference citation. Here you have to write the references in the script, and you have to write the bibliography at the end, and you have to cite that whatever references you are doing, you have to cite in your manuscript. Avoid using abbreviations also, and also it should be simple and accurate sentence structure. You should avoid the errors in the grammar, and it should be with the good punctuation. Then another point to be considered is organization of the literature review. So you should organize it properly. a theme should be organized. So according to the theme, you keep it, and organize the literature. Good flow, it has to be there. And the discussion of each source should be quite brief. It should not be elaborative, and you should not present it, or you should not put as the literature says, but you should put it in your own words, but with the good flow. Then refer your original sources, and whatever review of literature you are writing, one second please, you have to refer the original articles, original research papers you have to take into consideration, not the secondary source or somebody has reported that. That cannot be, because sometimes it can be misinterpreted, but you have to take the original source. So in the conclusion, what I would like to say is, good review is the foundation of good research. I think I made a sense to you. If any clarification can be made, you can ask the questions to me. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, but I'm not able to hear you. Hello? Can you hear me?